Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Nicklin with another edition of KSJE On the Road. Today, we are on the road at the Farmington Museum to give you a sneak peek at the new Lowrider Culture exhibit, which has been put together by the Smithsonian Institution, and also some local additions as well. We're going to be talking with Nathan Augustine. He is the director of the Farmington Museum right after this with more KSJE On the Road. KSJE On the Road is supported by Four Corners Economic Development, supporting and building economically vibrant businesses and communities in the Four Corners region through effective partnerships. FORSED is a public-private partnership that unites county and municipal governments with its member businesses and other resource partners to build the intentional economic future of San Juan County. Learn more about the ways FORSED is helping existing businesses thrive and grow and attracting new businesses to the community at the number 4cornersed.com.
This corner of the world is our corner. The caregivers of San Juan Regional Medical Center are working together in a shared mission and vision to deliver world-class care, making life better for the communities we're privileged to serve. Life is our sacred trust. Better is our mission. Here is our home. San Juan Regional Medical Center. To life better here. Visit lifebetterhere.com to learn more.
KSJE On the Road is supported by San Juan County, building a stronger community since 1887. San Juan County includes the San Juan County Sheriff's Office, San Juan County Fire and Rescue, San Juan County Office of Emergency Management, and Riverview Golf Course in Kirtland. The mission of San Juan County is to provide responsible public services through the direction of the County Commission, while striving to be professional, courteous, and committed to improving the quality of life for citizens that it serves. Learn more at sjcounty.net.
There are days when the weight of the world is heavy on your shoulders. But there is something you should know. You are never alone. There are beautiful people in this world who will walk with you when you feel off course, guide you when you need it most. They are there for you, and they're closer than you think.
At San Juan County Partnership, our mission is a thriving and healthy community. We strive to achieve this through educating our youth about eating healthy, moving every day, and the harmful effects of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. We educate adults about access to health care, the dangers of polysubstance use, and drinking and driving. We work hard to keep families housed and to help those without permanent shelter have a place to call home. We are here for you. We are San Juan County Partnership.
And welcome back to the Farmington Museum. I'm Scott Nicklin, along here with Nathan Augustine, the director of the Farmington Museum. Thank you for letting us invade your exhibit here.
My pleasure, absolutely.
It's a beautiful looking exhibit, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it and all the shiny things that I can see from my vantage point right here in the exhibit hall. But this exhibit's been open for a little over a week, maybe?
Let's see. Yeah, almost 2 weeks.
More or less, okay.
Yeah.
And visitations so far so good?
Pretty good. Yeah,
right?
Pretty good so far.
Good. and word is getting out, I'm sure,
Yes,
about it
absolutely.
too. And as I mentioned earlier, this is mostly a Smithsonian Institute exhibit, but you have added some other local parts as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So the Smithsonian has a traveling exhibit that they've organized. It's all about photography and video, talking about lowrider culture.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that exhibit, they invite the local museums that are borrowing this exhibit to involve the local lowrider community and bring actual lowrider cars and motorcycles, in our case, into the exhibit. And we've done that, and we also have bicycles in the lobby.
Right.
And art on the walls of the lobby as well.
Nice. And so every time, if someone may have seen this traveling somewhere else, it would be a little bit different than it is here in Farmington, New
Yes,
Mexico.
that's right. Yep.
And
Yeah.
how cool is that? And so you and your staff reached out, I guess, to try to add some of these extra elements?
Yeah, we met with three of the local lowrider car clubs in Farmington itself, and had them help us identify some of the most famous lowrider vehicles in New Mexico, and we've got them. So
Nice.
they're all here.
One of them is right behind you
That's
as
right.
we're
Yeah,
we're
that's
speaking. A beautiful Cadillac, I can
Right.
tell from here,
Yep.
and but it's much more the Cadillac, right?
Absolutely, yes. This is Arthur Lolo Medina's Cadillac. It's called Lowrider Heaven, and he's owned this car for over 35 years. It's meticulously and extensively painted with scenes from the life of Christ and the resurrection and everything about, his take on Catholic culture and Catholic love of
Sure.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Yeah.
And things personally important, I guess,
Right,
to
exactly.
the owner as well, right?
Yep.
Which is what a lot of these represent too.
Absolutely.
Very true. And,
Yep.
and they're so beautiful. I don't know if I'd even want to drive it, right? To get, dirt on it or what have you. But this is a labor of love, I think, for a lot of these
Absolutely.
individuals,
Oh,
right?
very much. Very, very much. Yeah, it's all about showing their culture and putting their hearts and souls literally into these vehicles.
Exactly. And so, again, you mentioned that there are motorcycles and automobiles and
Right.
bicycles. And all of this is part of the culture, and so it must have been fun to try to investigate and meet some of these groups and talk to
Oh,
some of
yeah.
these folks and get
Yeah.
them involved with the exhibit.
Yes, we've been meeting with these three car clubs, members of these three car clubs, for over a year. And it's been fascinating to hear their stories and to just hear their passion and their enthusiasm for doing this. It's not really the kind of crowd that normally attends a museum, but they were really, really excited about being here and being included here.
Yeah, I would think so. And again, it's not just about the vehicles; it's about the culture, and it's so much deeper than just
Yes.
that surface of the vehicles and the
Right.
motorcycles, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at a sign on the wall over here that says, "To me, it's everything: family, friendship, and brotherhood." And that's really how deep it goes. It permeates every aspect of their life.
Right. And from New Mexico standpoint, I mean, again, to have someone, a group from the Smithsonian coming in from Washington, D.C., I would imagine, and try
Yep.
and investigate, I imagine their research budget for an exhibit like this is pretty extensive, and they pretty much go through and cross all the T's and dot all the I's and do a great job of putting together the basics of this exhibit.
Right. Yes. And it's kind of coincidentally positive, but in doing their research and in developing this exhibit, they learned about how important lowrider culture is to New Mexico.
Right.
So they hired a local photographer, local to New Mexico. She
Sure.
lives in Española.
Right.
Gabriela Campos.
The epicenter, I would think,
Right.
of culture, lowrider culture in their state.
Absolutely, yes. And so her photography is featured in this exhibit that the Smithsonian put together, and that photography includes the lowrider car, the Cadillac Lowrider Heaven behind me.
Nice, seeing it out in its element and where it's been
Right.
exhibited, I guess, or driven and things like that then, huh?
Right, yeah.
Very cool. And to start off this exhibit too, I must say, and folks may remember either being here for the opening weekend, you had a lot of activities here, a car show here as well.
Yep.
I think you told me on the radio, over 5,000 people?
Yeah, about
That day?
5,500 people, which is probably the largest single-day event that the museum has ever held.
How about that,
Yeah,
right?
pretty cool.
And I would think, again, as you mentioned, for the culture, the lowrider culture here in San Juan County, they maybe not get a lot of attention, and maybe they're excited about it, maybe a little wary of it, but what was the reaction?
Oh, they were all over it. They were so excited about it. Lowrider culture is headquartered in New Mexico in Española.
Right.
But it's everywhere. All the major cities have groups and have people. So it's it's really been, it's a statewide phenomenon.
Right.
You know, and we had cars here from Albuquerque, from Espanola, from Farmington, of course, as well. Everything in the exhibit, all the stuff that we've added, is local. It's all within the state of New Mexico.
Sure, perfect. But these folks are driving hundreds and hundreds of miles to be a part of this opening, to be a part of this event that you created to launch this exhibit, which is wonderful to see. And I guess that's another question I have for you, Nathan Augustine, is the importance of local museums like the Farmington Museum to tell these stories, to share these stories with the larger community.
Yes, it's very important. Our goal as a museum is to celebrate there are three dominant cultures in the Four Corners area.
Right.
There's the Anglos, the Hispanics, and the Navajo. Well, and other Native American tribes as well.
Sure.
For us, the largest group is the Navajo. And historically, we haven't served the Hispanic population really much at all. So this is our first real deep foray into celebrating Hispanic culture. And the Farmington Museum, we talked about it not being the headquarters of lowrider culture in New Mexico, but we're the only institution in the state that's hosting this exhibit.
How about that?
So, yeah.
Very exciting. And so how old is the exhibit? Is it recently been created by the Smithsonian and gone on tour?
It's only been in existence for about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's relatively new in museum terms.
In museum terms, that's very new. Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense, but that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you imagine that other museums may take notice and maybe get it on their schedules down the road?
They can't.
Oh.
We're the second to last venue.
I
Then
see.
the whole Smithsonian exhibit goes home to Washington, D.C., and it's done.
I see. And so they will either make it and put it into the museums in Washington, I guess, or break it up and maybe do
Break it up
something
and
else with it or
archive it,
something.
yeah,
But
basically,
this is
yeah.
one of the last chances to see it, I
Right.
guess, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
How
Yep.
about that? Well, good job you for
Thanks,
getting it on the schedule and getting it here. Because again, I know there's a whole lot of other things that go along with traveling exhibits and coming in semi trucks or crates and insurance and everything else, right? That you need to
Absolutely.
be aware of
Yeah.
for things like
Very
this.
much.
And certainly the actual vehicles and the artifacts, that's another thing again that I'm sure the owners want to make sure that you've got them roped off and no one's going to touch them and no one's going to mess with them and all of that while they're in your care.
Right, yes.
That's
Yeah.
just Museum 101.
Right,
And so,
exactly.
so there you are.
Yeah.
And so as part of the culture, as you were saying, there's just so much more to it than just the vehicles and things like that. Usually there's some music playing in the background while we're talking in this exhibit. This is the largest exhibit hall at the museum, so you've
Yes.
pretty much filled it from
Filled
what
it,
I
yeah,
can
pretty
see
much, yeah.
of everything that we're looking at. And so it's great to have space like this to do something like this, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we're very fortunate to have a space this large and access. To get a car into an exhibit gallery takes a little bit of work, and
Yeah.
fortunately the museum building is built in a way that made that actually fairly easy.
Sure. Well, not just one car. You've got
Right.
several.
We've
So
got three, yes.
Yeah. So there's
Yep.
there's plenty of room for that. But it's
Yep.
really great to be able to see them and kind of see them from all different angles and just see the love and care that goes into these vehicles that get them just in such pristine condition. And you can tell that just a labor of love, as I said,
Yeah.
to be able to do that. So that's a great thing to be able to do as well. And so this is here until July?
July 25th, that's
Okay.
right. Yep.
And so just a few weeks for folks to be able to see it, and then it goes back in the truck, basically,
Basically.
right? And you plan something new for this space.
Exactly.
Is
yes.
what'll be happening. But any other programming in addition? I think you do pretty regularly, right?
Yes,
To have things
yeah.
that are connected to this exhibit.
Exactly. Yes. Every Saturday through the entire run of the exhibit, there's going to be a lowrider car in front of the building that one of the local club members has brought over just to show off and to attract attention.
Nice.
And we also have some sort of demonstration or lecture or something like that happening. That's all on our website. You can check it out there. For example, this Saturday, Josh Duarte, who's a local pinstripe artist, and his pinstripe art is on some of these cars themselves and also out in the lobby here.
Nice.
And he's holding a pinstriping demonstration and class in the pavilion for us.
Okay. Wonderful. So if folks would like more details on how to do that,
Right.
it's beautiful work. And again, he'll be here to do that. And you've got other stuff throughout the
Yep.
run of the exhibit, basically, right?
Absolutely, yes.
It's wonderful. And so that's one thing that you've got planned to do. Is there some other things, too, that you've got up your sleeve?
That's the most that we're planning on doing.
Saturday events? Uh-huh.
Right. After having the big kickoff public event, that took a lot out of us.
Right. Very true. Well, and some of the photos I wanted to ask you, too, about, because I could see them on the wall, and this is part of the Smithsonian part of this
Correct.
exhibit,
Yep.
which is maybe more of a national scope, I guess, and the
Yes.
culture
Yeah.
and how it's reflected nationally.
Yep.
And I can see photos from probably, well, that's New York City for sure. I can see
Yeah.
that across over your
Yep.
shoulder. But other points around the country, because as you said, in this culture, it's everywhere
It's everywhere, absolutely. Yeah.
and celebrated everywhere.
Yep.
And
very
that's
much.
what this exhibit
Yep.
shows us, basically. And so that's what's really great to be able to see. I've seen folks here of just from setting up this afternoon, all ages, young, old, and again, I think it's an all ages type of show.
Yes, very much.
Go ahead.
One of the funnest things that happened during the opening event, it was crowded, it was full of people. There were probably 24 sweet little old ladies who just loved this exhibit and raved about how beautiful it was and how much fun they were having seeing these wonderful cars.
How cool, right? Very, very cool.
Yep.
Not your typical, who you might think would be your typical exhibit goer, I guess, but you never know in this business, I
Well,
suppose.
the fun thing is we're getting people who don't usually come to museums here, and we're getting people who don't necessarily hang out at car shows here as well.
Right.
So we're really mixing those two groups together, and everyone's really loving it.
Yeah, very true. Well, and that's a lot of, I think, part of the new definition of what a museum is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that before, too, of being able to show these important kind of cultural things and historical things and also interpret them and let us know what it is that we're looking at,
Right.
things like that, but also having some interactive, some programming and things that go along with it, some audio, video components as well, which is what you have in this exhibit.
Right.
All of
Absolutely.
these things.
Yes. And really our goal is to bring communities, the communities within that make up Farmington together and increase their understanding of each other and make us all better friends and better community members.
Sure, that's very true. And again, do you hope that maybe some folks from out of town will make the trip
Oh, please. I hope so, yes.
to come see it,
And-
or
and
other?
we know they have and will
Already.
continue to, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
And other visitors who are in town might say, "Oh, I didn't know Farmington
Right.
had a museum," or
Yes.
and look at what they have. This high quality exhibit, which is, and plus your other things too. We should mention that
Right.
this is not the only thing to see
Right.
here at the Farmington Museum. There's plenty of other things as well.
Right. Right now, we have our second gallery. It's divided in half, so it's normally there's two different exhibits there. One of them is closed right now because we're in transition.
Right.
But the other one is open. It's our regular permanent built by gas exhibit that tells kind of the story of Farmington, the boomtown.
Sure.
Yep.
Very true. And so that's part of what folks could be able to see. And then when this closes, what's your plans for this space, if I can ask you to look
Yeah.
into the future a little bit?
Well, when this is done, we're going to have an exhibit here called, you're making me
I put you on the spot.
put me on the spot.
I'm sorry.
It's Rediscovering Native America.
Okay.
Is the next exhibit that's coming in here, and it's an exhibit about Native American life and culture, current Native American life and culture throughout the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another traveling exhibit that you've
Yep.
been able to get on the schedule, so.
Exactly.
Coming in, and so talking about more than just the local tribes that maybe we're familiar with, but others as well.
Others as well, absolutely.
Got you. And so that'll be here
Through the end of the year, basically.
from midsummer to about end of the year.
Yeah, more or
When this
less.
one's done in July, you said. So
right.
very good. Well, lots of stuff going on. You're a
Yes.
busy guy.
Yes, indeed.
And I know you're working on another exhibit too, which we've talked about on the radio as well. So there's lots to talk about and lots to see, but really exciting to see this exhibit, which is why I wanted to come down and see it in person and be here for an on-the-road program to kind of be surrounded by these great vehicles and all these photographs and the wonderful kind of interpretation and just different information about the lowrider culture, which is what this exhibit is all about and what it's called.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Very
And
good.
we're hoping not to have this be the last time we do a lowrider exhibit.
Right.
It's such an important part of New Mexico that we really need to do this more often. And so hopefully in about 18 months for Hispanic Heritage Month in 2027, we're thinking of having another, and it's all very tentative.
Sure.
We're still working it out, but we're thinking of having another lowrider exhibit
Okay. And this would be something that you might design yourself?
that we would design ourselves.
With
yeah.
more local input, I guess, and maybe more
Absolutely.
local opportunities for folks to show off some of their
Yes.
things if they want to?
Yep.
Got you. So So I guess that's a stay tuned kind of message, huh?
Yes.
For folks to be able to know maybe what could be coming. But that's a lot of work to design
Oh, yeah.
your own exhibit, as you were telling me too. So there's a lot of that going on. But really kind of a little bit more control, I guess, too, of what you can share and what you can't share.
The biggest thing is that we'll be able to fill this space with all local stuff. And we have so many people who actually didn't get in time to participate in this one. We want to give them the chance in the future.
Got you. So you know that the interest is there.
Right. Absolutely.
And so that will make it a little bit easier, I guess, to put it together.
Yep.
So wonderful. Very good. Well, Nathan Augustine, I always appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sitting down with me in the middle of these wonderful vehicles and motorcycles and lowrider culture to talk about this latest exhibit here at the Farmington Museum.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. My guest, Nathan Augustine from the Farmington Museum, part of the Lowrider Culture exhibit, which is on display right now at the museum until towards the end of July. I'm Scott Micklin, and this is KSJE On the Road.